we're just inundated with ads tying Robinson to Trump. Donald Trump endorsed Robinson. Donald Trump had no knowledge about the CNN report. We don't know if it's true, but Robinson needs to address the allegations in that report. They're unnerving. If they're true, he is unfit for office. If they're true, if they're untrue, he should sue CNN. Donald Trump didn't do anything with Mark Robinson. This is really a hit job. It is unconscionable. And if we did this to them, it would be blowing up the entire...
I mean, when you look at just the last couple of months, you have, Donald Trump talking about Haitians eating cats and dogs. His candidate in North Carolina, revealed as talking about himself as a black Nazi on a porn site. He brought a 9/11 conspiracy theorist to 9/11 memorial ceremonies. Why do you think it's this close?
Do I think it is?
Yeah.
I think it's more than close. Of course it's close. You just said it was close.
But it's close in the polling. I'm not convinced that it's going to be close on Election Day. I'll say this. If there's 7 swing states, the most least likely scenario is it breaks 4-3. It always gets, and again, every race other than maybe 2008 has been close right up to Election Day. Mm. And I could be wrong, but it's going to break in one direction or the other. I really believe that. And most of the time, these elections do that. And I don't like to predict elections. I would just say this just doesn't feel like a race that Harris is going to lose. But that's just a feeling. That's just a feeling.
I can't believe we're having this conversation again. So here we go. You know who the candidates are. You know what's at stake. One candidate promises a divided America filled with lies and hate. And one stands for change. Kamala Harris has more courage, more honor, more guts than this guy ever had. So you decide, are we really going back down that same fucking broken road, or are we moving forward towards hope, towards freedom, towards change?
We know a strong middle class has always been critical to America's success.
There's promise that lies in change, and the time for change is now. So what the hell are you waiting for? Because if it's the woman thing, it's time to get over that. It's time for hope, for change. It's time to be a man and vote for a woman.
We used to do this thing a while back called the three-legged race. Okay, where you'd have 2 of you and you'd have 1 leg joined together and it was like 3 legs. Imagine having to do that with J.D. Vance. But you got to carry him, and you're a former guy. You're the former losing president of the United States of America, because October the 1st is basically make or break. Literally, the Trump campaign is relying, this is crazy by the way, on J.D. Vance to put in some type of performance, turn up, against him whilst they're having a vice presidential debate on October the 1st that CBS are hosting. And, that's his last chance. That is Trump's last opportunity to try and register something, because at the moment, he is getting trashed, thrashed, slaughtered, whipped. What word would... Give us another word. Comment section to describe the fact that Trump is having a disaster. Literally. But apparently October the 1st, I'm trying to be serious here. I'm an outsider looking in, but everything I've seen about J.D. Vance wouldn't exactly instill me with confidence that if I was down to my last dollar, I would stick it on J.D. Vance and he would come home in a 3-legged race with former guy. Yeah. My money is definitely on Kamala and Tim in a 3-legged race. I'm being totally serious. I mean, J.D. Vance, where would you put your last dollar?
Vance, Senator Vance. Nick Oxner at WBTV. I want to ask you about Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. The Lieutenant Governor was with you on stage, with you, and trying to ask the question if you'll let me ask it. The Lieutenant Governor was on... I know I get it. Senator, the Lieutenant Governor was on stage with you and the former president at your August 21st rally in Asheboro, but he's not here with you today. He wasn't with the former president in Wilmington in the wake of the CNN investigation. Is there something disqualifying about the comments uncovered by CNN that wasn't disqualifying about any of the previous comments he made? Is that the question?
Look. Here's my view on the lieutenant governor. First of all, what he said or didn't say is ultimately between him and the people of North Carolina. The people of North Carolina are going to make that decision. Now, look, I've seen some of the statements. I haven't seen them all. Some of them are pretty gross, to put it mildly. Mark Robinson says that those statements are false, that he didn't actually speak them. So I think it's up to Mark Robinson to make his case to the people of North Carolina that those weren't his statements, and I'm going to let him make that case. But look, I got to say, this entire episode illustrates something that is fundamentally broken about the American media. You've got in this country right now a record number of Americans who are dying of fentanyl overdoses thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. You've got a record number of young Americans who can't afford to buy a home thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. And you've got a record number of Americans who are struggling to buy groceries thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. The media ought to focus on Kamala Harris and her failure. More interested in pursuing policies that correct the problems of Kamala Harris. A sex scandal in North Carolina is between the lieutenant governor and the people of North Carolina. They're going to make their decision, and we support them.
Thank you so much for answering questions. I am Casey Jones with WCCB. I want to ask you, you're talking about hostility. So looking at how things are going in Springfield, Ohio right now, where you made claims that Haitian migrants were eating pets that have since been debunked. There are threats to the community. Things are hostile. Knowing that America's so divided right now, would you change anything about the way you spread those now debunked false claims?
Well, what I have a responsibility to do in Springfield, Ohio, or any constituency in the state of Ohio, and if, God willing, the American people honor me by making me their next vice president, this will be my responsibility for the whole country. My responsibility is to listen to the people that I serve and not a biased media. And that's what I'll keep on doing in Springfield, Ohio, or anywhere else.
So, Governor, I want to get your reaction to something Trump posted on his Truth Social account earlier today. Let me read it to you. Quote, "Any Catholic that votes for Comrade Kamala Harris should have their head examined." Do you agree that Catholic Harris supporters should have their heads examined?
I don't know what that means. I'm a Catholic, and I don't know what that means, frankly. So I can't comment on that other than to say a bizarre tweet from Donald Trump. What a shock, right? I mean, it's almost daily that you get something kind of interesting coming out of whether it's tweet or one of his speeches. At the end of the day, this, as you and I both know, this comes down to swing states, swing voters in swing states like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, where Trump is doing, pretty darn well, even where the vice president is leading in the polls in most of those states. I don't think it's by enough for by and large. I mean, she's had her moments of, kind of swooping in, taking the nomination from the current president, having a strong convention, a strong debate performance. We've got to give her some credit there. But I don't think those big inflection points are going to exist going forward. So as folks get their bills, as the credit card bills come in, people start focusing more on policy and less on just the personality difference. I just don't think in some of those swing states she's built up enough of a buffer to overcome the change that folks want to see. So whether it's a weird tweet, my point being whether it's a weird tweet or not, right now people are really policy focused. They're really looking for some sort of change, and that's what President Trump's offering.
But he's saying that Jews, if they vote for Kamala Harris, should have their heads examined. And now the same point he's making about Catholics. Governor Chris Sununu, thank you very much for joining us.
There'll be nobody left.
All right.
You bet.
Thanks for joining us.